as a child who lacked confidence, that was full of self doubt, all the way until I literally was probably like in my mid 20s. And at the same time, I always had a vision of seeing myself doing something amazing and big. And it wasn't until I went to college that I began to have an awareness of who I was and the things that I wanted to do in life.
Welcome to Vulnerability Muscle, the inspiring podcast challenging norms and helping you redefine vulnerability as a strength. I'm your host, Reggie D. Each episode of Vulnerability Muscle dives into a variety of topics such as mental health, social issues, and mindset shifts. We explore the power of vulnerability and fostering meaningful connections, healing, building resilience, and promoting personal growth. Sometimes these conversations are uncomfortable, but good workouts often are. So join us and flex that vulnerability muscle. Welcome to this episode of Vulnerability Muscle. I'm your host, Reggie D. Vulnerability Muscle is all about redefining vulnerability as a strength that helps us connect, that helps us heal, that helps us grow. Today, I have an amazing guest with me, Dr. JaNee Mobley. Dr. JaNee is a wife, a mom, a mentor, pharmacist, speaker, and coach whose passion is to help women profit from their purpose and overcome mindsets that prevent profit, progress, and prosperity. Come on, y'all. Let's go. Oh, man. After facing homelessness with a doctorate degree and financial hardship, Dr. JaNee has dedicated her life to helping women discover their purpose, achieve personal success, and eliminate the mindset of self-doubt, low self-esteem, and self-sabotage. Oh my goodness. I am so excited for this. Yes, give it up. Dr. JaNee, welcome.
Well,
Welcome.
thank you for having me, Reggie.
Yes.
Thank you. It's one thing to, you know how you have like ever have like one of those, I guess they say, outer body experiences, and it's like it's one thing when you typing it up, doing the work, and it's another thing when you hear what your accomplishments
Mm-hmm.
are and what you're doing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing.
Yes, because you are. You are that. Let's go.
Yes, yes.
Oh wow.
Thanks for
Yes.
having me.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the honor and the time. I think this conversation is going to help a lot of people, women in particular, but I think a lot of men are going to gain from this as well. And I'm like a person who deals with self-doubt, self-limiting beliefs, who's I can now, because I have a little bit more awareness, identify these self-sabotaging behaviors. Or I'm like, I just talked myself out of $10,000. Like, why did I do that? Like, and so like, I am so excited to hear about the work that you do. But before we get into that, I got 3 questions, and it's a segment I call What Comes to Mind. Okay?
Oh,
So the
okay.
first thing you can think of, yeah. So the first one, what comes to mind when you hear the word vulnerability?
Oh, trust,
Mhm.
trust.
I love that. Yes. And you need safety to build trust, to be vulnerable. So I love that. What do you do to center yourself when you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, maybe even depressed?
One of the things that and literally, I'm glad that you asked me this question. This time of season is one of my favorite times of the year. I remember, just quick story. In 2020, we were sheltered in, all of us were sheltered in place, and my husband was still able to work outside of the house, but I was at home working a full time job with 2 children under the age of 6 and pregnant and expecting another one.
Mm,
So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I was at home with amazing children,
yeah.
a whole nother human being. And to that day, to this day, I literally walk outside and enjoy the things that I like to say I have taken so much for granted. The beautiful trees, the
Mm,
flowers that are blooming, the wind. I just stop at times and just allow it to hit my face. And it just calms me every single time.
mm.
So I know there was a whole lot, but
No, I love that because that sensory experience is something that you're able to describe in that trust, in that safety. But some people who have not given themselves or not had the opportunity to feel safe outside, to have the awareness of what it feels like to have the skin beaming down on or the sun beaming down on my skin, to have the wind blowing against my face. Like, oh yes, thank you for that. That's so good. What is a favorite childhood memory of yours?
oh, I am from Miami, but my dad was a country boy and he was from West Point, Mississippi. And
Mm.
we used to travel from South Florida all the way to West Point, Mississippi. And we're talking about probably 16 hours. So
Mm.
my sister and I would sit in the back seat of his white, what they used to call, and I'm telling my age here, but I do not care, for Stankin' Lincoln. It was a Lincoln town car, one of those box old ones. And we would travel and we would play in the back and we would play Chinese checkers. And it was just amazing. And we would literally turn around in the back seat and get the semi truck drivers to pull their horn.
Yeah.
So, yes, like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. So, I love that because my grandfather was a truck driver, and I got to experience a couple summers with him where I went on the road, and you always see it. Like you look over and kids are just pumping their fists, like they pumping, and like he had like three horns, like there multiple horns in there, and he would do the regular horn. I'm like, no, they want the big one. They want to hear that thing, and so no, I love that. That's such a beautiful memory. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I want to hear about the journey. I want to hear, your bio is amazing and phenomenal. And to talk about, your life prior to becoming Dr. JaNee. Like what would that look like?
Well, the doctor part, as you shared, came from the doctorate of pharmacy. And my journey, do you want to hear about the journey to entrepreneurship or the journey to evolving to be the woman I am today?
Ooh, I like that latter. The second one. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So just to give you a condensed but detailed story, I grew up as a child who lacked confidence, that was full of self doubt, all the way until I literally was probably like in my mid 20s. And at the same time, I always had a vision of seeing myself doing something amazing and big. And it wasn't until I went to college that I began to have an awareness of who I was
Mm.
and the things that I wanted to do in life. So I finished pharmacy school, and the amazing thing was I graduated, kudos to me, with this doctorate degree, able to make six figures, foot out the door at the age of 24. At
Let's go.
the same time, I got my first job and I felt so unfulfilled.
Mm.
I felt like, what in the ham sandwich did I sign up for? And I literally, in truth moment, I got myself fired from that job. Why? Because it wasn't my passion. It wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. So as a result, I didn't give it my all.
Mhm.
Fast forward to that date, I literally began a quest to try to figure out what is it that I'm called and created to do. And I have a relationship. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. And I literally, there are moments that I have where I do not believe in complaining about something that I'm not willing to change.
Mm.
And fast forward to how we got homeless, which ended up being the pivotal point. I was working on a job, got fired again, which is literally a telltale sign. And at that moment, I said, never again will I ever allow someone to dictate my income. And
Yeah.
I realized, I said, okay, if I serve a God whose word tells me that he's given me the power to obtain wealth, then surely I have a gift to be able to serve the world to build wealth.
Mm.
And I literally began working on me before I started building a business at
Yeah.
that time. And through homelessness, I literally went to the library because I couldn't afford to buy a book.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I started checking out books, checking out books. Every time I finished a book, I would take it back and check out another book, check out another book, check out another book. And I did deeper work on myself.
Mhm.
And I said, you know what? One thing that I always have loved to do is empower people.
Yeah.
And because I was in a place of, and it's, I love the name of your podcast and the fact that you are, and this is just kudos to you as being a gentleman who you don't, it's sad, but many of us are not aware of men willing to be vulnerable
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
themselves or anybody else.
Yeah.
So I love what you do.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, love what
Thank you. Thank you.
you know what? I've connected with my purpose and
Mhm.
I am destined to help other women realize that you don't have to just work a job to take care of your household. You can use your skills, your gifts to build wealth.
Yeah.
And
That's
here we
beautiful.
are.
That is so beautiful. There's so many parts of your story that I want to touch on. And I think part of one of the things that stood out to me was how you said, like, you had this what looked like success of a career, success of a job when you first got out there, but you were unfulfilled inside. Can you speak to that? Like, what did that feel like? Like, what were you thinking in the morning when you went to work? What were those thoughts?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question because it's a lot of people who just don't tell the truth about those moments.
Hmm.
So literally, I was excited about Friday because I knew because I worked
Hmm.
Monday through Friday. And I was excited about Friday at the time, and I was working for the VA at the time. And for people like the government at that time was like the place for pharmacists to work
Okay.
because if you go to your neighborhood pharmacies, they're working like to dark 30. And it was
Hmm.
like the dream job for most people. But I would literally enjoy Friday coming up and literally was like a heavy cloud over my head on Sundays.
Mm.
And I was just like, I felt unfulfilled. I was frustrated. I was aggravated. And literally, I would go there and not want to do the work that I was hired to do.
Yeah. And
So
that you train so hard to get to play. Yeah.
that part. But here's the thing: the most amazing part of being a pharmacist that I absolutely loved was teaching.
Mm. That's powerful.
So it's no wonder that I love coaching. It's no wonder that I love speaking because I am a teacher.
Yep. Yep. Oh, wow. See, I think we've conditioned our society to expect and accept those Sunday night scaries. And I
Oh,
think for
yeah.
people who have done what you've done and gone out and changed what that looks like for you, who start businesses or who enjoy the work that they're doing, like those Sunday night scaries, they are not always there. Like I don't feel the same way. Like I am an entrepreneur through and through. I don't know if I will ever not be. And my Sunday nights do not feel like they used to when I was working in offices. And it's a beautiful feeling. It's an absolute beautiful feeling to know that that anxiety, that fear, that stress, that all of
Mhm.
that. Like you say you get into bed at 8:30 and you up at 11 mad because you got to go in the next morning early. Like all of that, right? That doesn't have to be the case. So I'm curious, like what was the what was the experience like when you found out that homelessness was going to be a part of your story? Like the from having a home to not, and then what does that experience look like? Because it's different for everyone, right?
Mhm. Um, at the time, and it's crazy because even when I rewind and I think about it, I don't think I'm a control freak. I like to control as much of my environment as possible.
Hmm.
So when I came home and I told my husband I was fired from my job and things would be shifting, I told him, I said, you know what? Because he was working at the time, but our salaries alone, well, his salary alone at the time, we needed to work together financially,
Hmm.
basically. And I told him, I said, we need to evict ourselves.
Okay.
So for
Wow.
me, it wasn't, I didn't, and I don't even think I was worried about being homeless. I thought about that. I was more concerned of somebody putting a white slip on my door and people walking by and seeing it. And I don't have any control over the time that I'm able to pack up peacefully and get out of here. So for
Mm.
me, I began to consider what this was going to look like if I just sat there, right?
Mm.
And in the meantime, I'm not gonna lie, I started, doing as much as I could to make money. But when I realized it wasn't going to be a sufficient amount of time, I made a decision. I was just like, okay, babe, we need to evict ourselves.
Mm. Wow.
And the piece in that is that I didn't have to go through the sheriff knocking on my door. The piece in that is I was able to go to our property manager and say, "Hey, this is the situation. I'm going to have to break the lease." I was able to communicate that and we were able to maintain our integrity. So it gave me that level of confidence. Now, couple of months later throughout, it was very uncomfortable
Mhm.
because we were staying with my sister-in-law, her two children, my mother-in-law in a two-bedroom duplex, sleeping, and my husband and I were literally sleeping on the floor on a mattress.
Mm.
So it was uncomfortable. However, I've been one that has always trained and been personally and focused on personal development.
Yeah.
So even that's why it occurred to me. I said, I got to get to a library. I got to pour into myself. I was very aware of who I surrounded myself with. So to be honest, it wasn't as daunting as it could have been.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Even we had to sleep in a car overnight, right? It wasn't as daunting as it could have been, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, I think that speaks to a lot of different things. Of one, just your drive of knowing that to say we have to evict ourselves, I think takes so much wisdom and courage and bravery to know that like we're gonna be all right, but we gotta get our ducks in a row so that we stay all right and to be able to sustain what's all right. To knowing that you had supportive people in your life that you could go sleep
Mhm,
under a roof as opposed to under a bridge. And like I think
mhm,
there's so many beautiful parts of that story, and then you continuing to develop yourself. You said earlier where like you started to look at yourself and understand things about yourself while you were at the library and things. What did that self discovery look like? What did you find out about you that now helps you with the work that you do?
Oh, wow. I developed a spirit of resilience that I didn't have before going through the trial that I went through.
Mm,
A lot of the times, and I can definitely speak from experience, change is very uncomfortable.
mm-hmm,
However, I've learned even in that experience, when you yield to it and you're vulnerable to the change, right? It gives you the opportunity to explore the lessons that needed to be learned
mm-hmm,
along the way,
mm-hmm,
which ultimately builds your character, which ultimately builds your strength, mentally as well as physically, mentally, and spiritually. So when I encounter women who are resistant, who aren't willing to be vulnerable, who feel shame, who feel self-doubt, I'm able to speak from a place passionately from experience because I've already lived it in some capacity. It may not be the exact situation. However, I'm able to relate more because of
mm-hmm.
that tribulation.
Mm, dang, that's so good. That's so good. Like I think there's such a need and desire for relatability. Like it's
Mhm,
one thing to have a person, a coach, a teacher, a mentor who's up here that has telling you to do all these different things. And it's
mhm,
like, but you don't understand what my mind's thinking. You don't understand where I've been at. You don't understand my past. You don't understand those things from a lived experience. So you telling me this, it's hard to relate on that. But for you to have that experience and help women get through that mindset is
mhm,
beautiful. Can you speak more to that work? So like you established the Success and Wealth Institute.
mhm.
What motivated you to do that and what work do you do there?
Well, that's literally my coaching and speaking and writing umbrella. So all of
Mhm.
that is housed under that particular brand. Um, but the success and wealth, how did that even come about? That's the first time anybody has asked me that question. So I wrote a book literally when we were coming out of homelessness. Like that's why
Wow.
I realized that I didn't realize just how much I built before I got to that point and how
Mm.
I was able to make some changes and do some things. But I literally, because during homelessness, we found out I was pregnant with our first son. So
Mm.
pregnant, yeah, all of that. And I remember I told myself, I said, women are usually given 6 to 8 weeks before they are charged to go back to work. So I said, I'm gonna give myself 6 to 8 weeks and then I'm going to commit to writing a book. Now, mind you, I had never written a book ever before in my life.
Wow.
So I literally got, those paper folders that have the three prongs. I
Yeah.
notebook paper because I ain't taking no class about writing no book. I said I'm not going to overthink this. Like we gonna eliminate all excuses, right? And we had our son on a schedule, so my husband would go to sleep, our son would sleep, and I would stay up and I committed to writing for 15 minutes.
Nice.
Right?
Mm.
And again, even as I think about that, Reggie, everything that I encounter, all of that work that I put into myself, literally landed me to a place that I was able to write in one of the most challenging places in my life. But it
Mhm.
goes back to that's where the success part is. A lot of people feel like, oh, you have to accomplish all of this stuff to be successful. First of all, success is personal.
Yeah.
So you will
Yes.
identify, and this is my belief, what success is to you.
Facts.
The wealth part is the wealth. Again, he gives us the power to obtain wealth. So how was I able to write a book when we was trying to figure out how to pay bills after we moved into a new house? I realized I had an idea.
Mhm.
And if I took the idea and took action on the idea and marketed the idea, surely I was going to make some money.
Mm. Wow. Wow, and the rest is history. Look at that. Like, it's so I love what you said about like committing to just 15 minutes of writing because I think we overcomplicate some of the most basic things of commitment, of consistency, of discipline, and doing that on a regular basis and making that a non-negotiable to reach a goal that we set for ourselves. You gave yourself that time and you
Mhm.
said, "This is what I'm gonna do." And so I know it just because I've written a book too. Like you sat down for 15 minutes and that day is like I got juice and I'm gonna go. And it may be hours later, and you're like, look at all this that I've written. But then again, you come back to the 15 minutes. If that's all I got for that day, that's all I got for that day.
That
And I
part.
think that is so, so powerful for people to understand. You gotta inertia, like being stuck is hard to overcome. And you have to get that ball rolling in some way. And it
Absolutely.
has to be, it's a lot of times it's like Atomic Habits. I love that book. It's the small things. It's the
Yes.
15 minutes. It's the 5 seconds if that's what it needs to be. So I love that. Man,
Thanks. Thanks.
yeah. I mean, a lot of determination in your story. A lot of like, I mean, to make it to be a doctor, you said the resilient mindset wasn't there, but to make it to be a doctor and pharmacist, like you had that resilient mindset in you, and it may not have been showing up in different moments. But where does that come from? Like, who were the influences in your life? Who motivated you, or what motivated you during those early periods of life?
The first, I'll tell you a story that comes to mind. So I'll tell you a story that helped me out with resilience and then a person. So at a very young age, I saw a lot of death. What do I mean? I had uncle pass away. I had uncles. I had a grandfather, like all before I even became an adolescent. Like people were
Mhm.
just dying, right?
Mhm.
But the biggest death and loss that I experienced was the death of my father. I was a
Mm.
big daddy's girl. So at the age of 15,
Wow.
my father passed away due to cancer. And I'll never forget, I was trying out to be a majorette in high school. And up into the days that he was passing away, and we knew that he had cancer. And the crazy thing is, I had a vision of him dying, and it freaked me
Mm.
out as a teenager, but didn't give it too much, thought or anything like that. And he died. And I remember when my mother told me, because my mom was kind of like the opposite of my dad. My dad would baby me. My mama was like, okay, you gonna get me. Look, I'm not into the baby stuff, but my mom nurtured me. But my dad was the type of person, even as a teenager, I would sit on his lap. He would feed
Oh,
a huge daddy's girl.
wow.
The loss was very major for me. So I had to literally transition quickly because my mama wasn't going to give me that same attention that my father did. And the day of his funeral was the day of our majorette tryouts. And I don't know
Mm.
what in me, but I made a decision that I was going to try out. So after
Mhm.
his funeral, I literally left, had somebody drive me to tryouts. And I believe it was during that moment and point that a spirit of resilience really increased in me. And my mom, watching her have to deal with the death of her mother 9 months prior and bury her husband,
Mm.
it just it was something. The experiences that I had and just seeing her go through that, I had a push like nothing else afterwards, because I knew life wasn't going to be the same.
Mhm.
Had to make a decision. So it's amazing that you're asking these questions, because now I'm getting even a better understanding of
Mm.
even where a lot of my resiliency has come.
Mm.
It started out very young.
Mm. Mm. Well, I'm sorry to hear about the many death, the multitude of deaths, and the death of your father. Like, hearing that, just like one of my like hearing that you were so close and that, he nurtured you in that way and babied you in that way. I think like we need more of that. We need more of that in our lives where men like I mean, that's a vulnerable expression. I'm reading The Myth of Normal right now, and it
Mhm.
said to care is to be is a vulnerable emotion. Like if I care about something,
Yeah.
because that opens me up to being hurt. If I care, that means that opens me up to be hurt about something, but
Yep.
that's okay because we know what comes with caring, and there's a lot of good that comes with that. And I know that there is a lot of pain that came with the loss of your father, and so I
Absolutely.
extend my condolences because
Thank you.
those things are important and significant in our lives.
Thank
Um,
you.
and to be able to identify like a moment of recognizing where resilience really started to be one modeled by mom and then displayed by you is amazing. Did you
Thank
make the tryout? Did you make it?
I didn't.
You
I did.
didn't. What
No.
was that? What'd that feel like? Oof.
Honestly, was I disappointed? Here's the truth. I was more proud of the fact that I showed up because
Facts.
I had every reason not to. Because she was like, "Are you sure? You sure? You sure?" I was like, I was so sure at that moment that I needed to do that, and I'm so
Mm.
proud of myself that I showed up.
Yes, I'm proud of you too. Ah, showing up, showing up. Let's talk about your book, your coaching, your business world, and how you show up for other people. Right? You've shown up like you bare your soul. You're vulnerable in your work, and you use that to help other people. What are the idea or what are the I guess, yeah, ideal candidates or clients that you work with, and what are they coming to you for? What kind of services are they coming to you for?
Um, Initially I started out as a life coach, and I realized that sometimes, God will give you signs when it's time to shift. But a lot of the
Mhm.
clients that I started working with were either entrepreneurs or those who desired
Mm,
to. So they're women, they're working full-time jobs, and or they either desire to start a business or currently have a business. And the amazing thing is, I've worked on the extreme end. I've worked with women who are very successful in entrepreneurship. However, their personal life is just jacked up. And when I say that, I mean emotionally, they're not vulnerable, they're very hard. And their work, here's the thing, I always realize that regardless of the level that we have acquired of success, there's always an even greater level once we overcome the conversations in our mind,
yep.
right? So she is a woman who has experienced and is experiencing self doubt, a lack of confidence, and really knows that there is some area of her life that she has yet to explore that's inhibiting her from infiltrating the level that she knows that she's supposed to infiltrate.
Mm,
So we work together. It's literally in a program, and I support them because I'll be honest, in total transparency, and a lot of people don't say this, and this is one of the reasons, I guess that's the vulnerability muscle.
let's go. Flex
I work
that.
a full-time job while building my business. Why? Because there's a certain lifestyle that I desire to maintain while building my business.
Yeah.
I believe, and this is just me, everybody's journey is different. And this is another way that I am relatable to my clients because it's hard to build anything when you're trying to figure out how you're going to stop
Yes.
them from collecting your vehicle,
Yep.
from collecting on money you owe. So she works a full-time job, whether in corporate America or healthcare, and she's
Mm,
really, really ready to take the idea that she's had on the shelf of her mind and really implement it and push past those negative thoughts, those self-limiting beliefs, that fear, that lack of confidence, not feeling good enough, that imposter syndrome, and ready to take it to the next level.
let's go. Let's go. I love that. Y'all heard it. Women, like if you're out there and you felt like she was speaking to you, then you need to speak to her. Holler at Dr. JaNee. Like that's powerful. And I can think of so many people like that. I can think of so many people because it's not like if you think about being a woman or being a woman of color, even a black woman, like the world is sending us signals that we are somehow not enough, that we should somehow doubt ourselves because of this, and that. And it's like we can stop that at the door and say, nope, that's bullshit. You're not going to let that infiltrate my mind. And I'm going to rewrite all of these different narratives that my mind has taught me about who I am. And I'm going to stand in my power, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to accomplish all those things that the vision that I see, I'm going to make it a reality. And I think that's so beautiful. And I love your vulnerability and saying, like, I'm still working while building my business. And I think that's a myth of entrepreneurship, is that you don't do that. Like, I like there you have to have funds, you have to have security, you have to have peace of mind knowing that bills are gonna get paid, or else you go into this tunnel vision mode, and tunnel vision blocks
Say that.
opportunities. Tunnel vision makes you do things that may be out of your character because I need that next dollar. And it's like, no, like, do what fits your path and your journey. And so I love that that is a part of your story and the story of the women that you are helping. I love
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah. What is your coaching style look like? What can people expect? Like, are they, is it hands on? Is it exercises? Or is it all talking? Like, what does that look like if you've never done coaching before?
Well, my coaching style is really based off of implementation. Like,
Mhm.
how many of us have been gone to conferences, conventions, workshops, and so forth, and then you leave with all this content and you have no implementation, like zero. Okay, you
Yeah.
excited, you fired up, only to go home and just kind of look around like, what am I doing?
Mhm.
So I focus a lot on implementation. And and I say this simply. I'm a very simple implementer.
Yeah.
Very, very simple, because I understand that a confused mind will do absolutely nothing.
Facts.
So I first, because I have a systematic 5-step approach that I use in helping them to go from mindset to movement, and
Mm.
literally taking that idea off of the shelf of their mind and implementing it without excuses and eliminating all excuses, excuse me. So, literally, when we focus on the first area I focus on is mindset, because I
Mhm.
believe that if you can't believe you can do something, you just won't do it.
Mhm.
You
Right.
won't.
It's
So,
like that. It's like the old adage: those who think they can and those who think they can't are right.
Exactly. So, mindset is one of the biggest areas that I work on throughout, but we spend time the most on. Because, I mean, let's face it, a lot of us know and understand at this point what marketing is, and that we have to basically get our brands out there, even if you
Mhm.
just mess it up at the
Mhm.
beginning. But people allow the fear of, or the self-doubt of, or the opinions of, to prevent them from doing the very thing to get their idea
Wow.
out there on the market,
Yes.
right? So the first couple of the first two sessions we focus on mindset, and then it's more so, it's very engaging. So I give content, we have Q&A and discussion. The reason why I say Q&A and discussion is because a lot of the times people don't know what they don't know, right?
Mhm.
And I'm one of those. I am, whenever I interact with people, whether virtually, especially if I can see your face, right? And hear the tone of your voice well, I can pick up when there is a gap, when there's a lack of understanding, or
Mhm.
when you aren't really showing up.
Mhm.
As a coach, I'm going to call you out on it lovingly and politely, but my goal is to get you to rise to the occasion, right? I've never played a sport in my life, but one thing I understand about every coach who's coaching someone in a sport, their goal is to ensure that their team or the person that they're coaching wins whatever the game or whatever the sport is.
Yeah.
So if they got the whatever they got to do to corral you, that's what they do. So
Mhm.
I'm very, very big on connecting with my clients and identifying what their hindrances and challenges are. So I focus a lot on gathering the data to see what are the stumbling blocks,
Mm.
right? With that mindset, because marketing is marketing, that's concrete. But when you're dealing with people with personal issues, you have to find a way of connecting with them on their level to get them to the place that they need to be,
Mm.
right? So we focus on mindset. I focus on their message and so forth, and then we go from there. But mindset is
Yeah.
the biggest piece. Oh my gosh, the
Yes.
biggest piece.
I want to come back to the 5 steps, but before that, with the mindset, what are some of the common roadblocks that people
Mhm.
are saying, or some of the self-limiting beliefs that you hear probably more frequently than others?
The biggest one is fear.
Mm,
And we know under fear, there are a plethora of the types of fears:
mhm,
the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of success, right?
mhm.
The fear of the opinions
Speak to
of
that. Speak to the fear of
others.
success.
Oh gosh. So what is the fear of success? Like we sit and we say, okay, we want to make all of this money. We want all of these accolades. However, when it comes, there's or even before it comes, there is intimidation of what that's going to look like. So for somebody, you may be the first in your family to succeed at anything. So
Mhm,
how are they going to feel because I'm making all of this money?
mhm.
Are they going to call me and ask me for money to take care of them? And because I feel obligated, am I going to go broke because I feel obligated to take care of them?
That's so real. I have a mentor and a friend who um was a very great football player. And
Mhm,
he knew he was great at I think as a freshman he was a starting quarterback for a powerhouse team, and
mhm.
he scored this big touchdown and win the game against a rival, and he remembers, like, crossing that pylon as he was getting tackled, and the crowd went crazy. And he, in that moment, was like, "Holy shit. I
Mhm.
gotta live up to this every day of my life from here on out." And, like, ended up playing in the NFL, all of these different things, great career, but carried that weight of
Yeah.
those expectations forever. When the passion didn't meet that
Wow.
expectation, when he wasn't feeling it, he still had to carry that. And I think that is a part of the fear of success that we have. And I think about it, even sometimes I will well I try not to do this now because I have awareness around it, but when I look back at different periods of life, it was a moment, right? There is a big game, there's a big talk, there's a big something big that's gonna come, and it's pivotal. It can take you to the moon, or you can still
Yeah.
stay where you at. And the preparation in that, I'm like, I'ma wait. I'ma procrastinate. I'ma do this. And then I put together something, it's nice, but I know in my heart I could have put together something 10 times
Mm.
better, but I self-sabotaged in that way of procrastination, or in that way of not giving it my all in the preparation phase. So it is real. The fear of success is real, and being able to identify, like, yeah, we're afraid to fail. It makes sense, right? We're afraid to not
Mhm.
accomplish the goal, but we are also sometimes afraid of all of those things that come after we succeed.
Oh, yeah.
Oof. Ooh, yeah. Let's get back to the 5 steps. Can you list them out, how you address them, and just so that people understand what that looks like?
So I believe that there are 5 areas that we must master in order for us to implement our ideas successfully, right?
Mhm.
So the first one is mindset. Obviously, because we understand that the position in which and I love breaking this down, if I may, because it's exciting. So mindset we know is a compound word. We have mind and then we have set.
Mm,
So when you bring the two together, when you think about them individually, excuse me, set is the position or the place, or your mind is your way of thinking, it houses your beliefs and so forth. So the difference between people don't realize the only difference between people who are successful and those who are unsuccessful, those who are in lack and those who are in poverty, is the positioning of their belief system and their thinking.
mm,
Here's the thing. People are chasing money, but all you have to do is change your position of your thinking and your belief system,
mm,
right? So you got to have the right mindset. You have to. Because here's the thing, even when somebody rejects you and says no, you understand that what I have is valuable. You understand that that the solution that I have is what the marketplace needs. This may not just be my ideal client. And guess what?
mhm,
That's okay.
mhm.
You see
Yep.
what I'm saying? And you have the resilience to get back up and keep going, right? And even with the fear of success, you understand the way that that is overcame is that I don't ever have to live up to anybody else's standards, or even the self-sabotaging standards that you have set for yourself. Your goal
Mhm,
is to continue to reach higher.
mm.
If you miss it, understand that it's just a lesson learned.
Yes. Mm,
That's why our environments are so important. Next is the mindset of management, right?
mhm,
You cannot, and a lot of times people, when you say management, they think about corralling a team. Yes, you need to corral a team and lead a team in order to implement the idea and make sure that it's effective. But before you can lead other people, you got to manage yourself. You
Facts. Let's
manage
go.
your emotions, right? You got to have all that together. So self management is huge, right? The next is mastery. Here's the thing, you got to master your craft. The reason why the brand McDonald's has been around for as long as it has is that they've mastered their craft.
Mhm.
They mastered it.
Mhm.
Same thing with all of the other brands. They've mastered it. It's always top of mind, is what my first business coach said. So we have the mind, we have mindset, we have self-management, and then we have mastery. Next is marketing,
Yeah.
right? Right. So here's no, before that, it's actually six. But anyway, I'll just go over the first
Give
one.
us extras. Hey, I like extra.
Right? My first coach, Danielle A. Jervy, an amazing woman, Danielle A. Jervy Harmon, she said, you can have the best idea since pockets, but if nobody knows about it, it matters not. And
Yep.
she wasn't lying,
Yep. So
right?
true.
It, and next is your message. What are you communicating with people? Right?
Mm.
Everyone, especially in the social media world, everybody has a message, whether they realize that they're delivering one or not.
Yes.
Our message is the way that we effectively communicate with people.
Mhm.
And then once you have your message, your goal is to create a movement that people will want to follow and say, hey, I want to jump on this bandwagon. They, whatever it is that
Mm.
they're doing, right?
Mm.
So those are those
I
M.
love that. I love them. Hey, them M's to get to the M's. Let's go. I love that. I love that. And what you said about the message, and this is something about brand, like your personal brand. Like people think because they're not a business that they don't have a brand, but you do. Everybody has a brand, and your brand is how the world is perceiving you, how you show up into the world, well, brand reputation being perceived and things like that. But you have brand and reputation based off of how you're presenting yourself. And I had a in business school, I had a professor or program director who always used to say, like, you're always interviewing. Right. Because these professors are coming in, they own businesses or they know people. You got classmates who are going to be running business. You got like all these, you're always interviewing. And so in the same breath, like if you have a business, your business, whether it's how you show up to a meeting or not show up or show up late, whether it's how you dress, whether it's how you talk, you're always presenting your brand and your message. And so I love that. I love those M's. Can you repeat them for us so we can, somebody's taking notes out there and they're gonna reach out to you.
So it's mindset, mastery, message, movement, marketing.
Mm. I love it. I love it so much. Can you give us for yourself personally, because you do a lot, right? How do you juggle all the responsibilities of being that mom, of being the entrepreneur, the author, the speaker, all of those things, and your self-care? How do you balance that, and what do you do for your own self-care?
Oh gosh, I'm a simple coach and I'm simple at heart as a
Mhm.
person. So it doesn't take much. Taking those moments out of the day to just be what I like to call my first name.
Mm.
Here, not Mrs., not mommy, not strategist, not coach, just JaNee. So I walk outside. I just take like literally this time of year is my favorite time of year. Like
Yeah.
so favorite. I literally love to look at the flowers. That's my self-care. Like I love to see the flowers bloom. And I exercise. Now, exercise has its physical benefits, but for me, it is the greatest mental and spiritual pill.
Yes.
Like people don't realize.
Yes.
Oh, once you shift your perspective about working out and you realize just how amazing you feel afterwards, I'm one of those, I can go to sleep after a workout because
Yeah.
I'm just that relaxed.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's so good.
That's my
Just
self-care.
yeah, I love giving people just different tips and tools of what they can do because not everybody comes from an environment or understands the benefits of or how it presents for them, and like so
Yeah.
like to know like something as simple as going out and staring at the flowers and truly embracing the beauty of a flower, like I'm with you on that. Like I can be in nature and just zone out and it be the most peaceful thing that I've experienced. So I love that. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. I want to ask about some of the satisfaction that you get from your job now and
Mhm.
some of the success stories. Can you talk to like when you speak about it, you're so passionate. It comes through. And I think that that is beautiful because I know some of us are in jobs where like, yeah, I do this and I do that. And like on Monday to Friday, that's what I'm doing. But when you speak, there's so much passion behind it. What are some of the success stories from the work that you do?
Well, I teach. As a job for career. So I teach in terms of I prepare students to become pharmacy technicians.
Let's
Again, teach.
go.
So I'm still in alignment with my purpose. That was a great gift from God. Like,
Let's
I'm so
go.
grateful. Right. And the greatest satisfaction is being able to not teach them academically, but to provide them with strategies to be able to show up for themselves. Because
Mhm.
one of the things that I always tell my students is that I cannot expect for you to perform academically when your personal life is jacked up.
Say that again. Say that again. Say that again. Because educators, listen, please, please.
Right. You cannot expect to a person to perform academically when their personal life is jacked up. Like a
Mm,
true telltale of where, like, prime example, I had a student and I knew again, I pick up on I and maybe that's just me gifted, but and the fact that I genuinely care and I do it the same way with my clients. I'm aware, even if I can't see you, I can hear, right? So I can tell when something is off about you mentally and emotionally, right?
mm,
So I connected with the student, found out and realized that the student had anxiety, right? So severe anxiety, and they were dealing with personal issues. Hence, how are you going to show up in the classroom?
mhm,
Right? So the greatest satisfaction I get out of my work is being able to teach again, still doing what I'm gifted to do, even at a job.
mm,
And that's what makes it easy to go to. That's what
mhm,
makes it easy to show up for. Right? Because
mhm.
in a sense, I'm still kind of doing the same thing because I coach my students.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I'm sure you coach a lot of people in your life.
Yeah.
And yeah. Sometimes you're like, "All right, how much I'm getting paid for this text message? It took me how long to craft?" Yep, mhm. But, oh my god, I'm so thankful for you, and I know that so many people are thankful for you,
Oh, thank
and the
you.
work that you do, the person that you are, just JaNee. Before it all, before all the titles. Ooh, that was so beautiful. Imma listen to this again, and that's gonna still stand out because we get so attached to all of the different roles that we play, all of the status, all of this, all of that. And I have a talk where it's about grief.
Mhm.
And I ask the question, like, who are you when all of those things get stripped away? Like, who are you? Can you sit with that person? Do you
Mm,
love that person? Do you
powerful.
cherish it? Yeah, it's like that is something that I want us all to recognize is that me, Reggie, without any of the other stuff,
Mhm.
I am enough. I am loved. I
Absolutely.
am worthy. And so, thank you for that. That was beautiful.
Oh,
I
you're
wanna
welcome.
before we close out, I got another segment. It's a fill in the blank. And
Okay.
so, again, kinda first things that come to mind, it could be a word, it could be a phrase, you can tell a story, whatever it is, but, the first one is vulnerability makes me feel blank.
Safe.
Mm, wow. My biggest strength or my superpower is blank.
Being vulnerable.
Ooh, let's go. Let's
And
go.
I'll tell you why. And I know that sounds, but it's the truth. The truth will make us free,
Mm,
but a lie will keep me in bondage.
mm,
So the more that, and it takes truth to be vulnerable. So the more that I tell myself the truth and seek the truth, the more that I am able to be free.
mhm. Mm,
The more you live in a lie, the more you will be in bondage. I don't have time for it. I don't have the energy for it. And even when I say vulnerability, it's about being vulnerable even with myself first and
Yeah.
foremost. People aren't vulnerable with themselves,
Facts.
right? You telling yourself a lie to the point where you don't even know what the truth really is anymore. You don't know what the truth is anymore.
Mm,
But yes, vulnerability makes me safe and it builds my confidence because I'm able to be honest with where I am,
yes. Oh,
right? Yeah. So did I answer
wow,
your
wow,
question?
wow. Thank you for that. That was powerful. Oh man.
Mhm.
If I could tell a woman struggling with self-doubt anything, it would be blank.
Ooh, truth moment. You got to know whose you are.
Mm,
You got to know whose you are. When you know whose you are, you can be sure of who you are and the position that you stand in. Because even when self doubt comes in, the fact that I know whose I am, even when the doubt creeps in, the truth always awakens and reminds me of who I am. So, regardless of whether there's an opportunity at the door and I question whether I'm satisfied, I ask myself and I really remind myself of who sent me. And that qualifies me every single time. A lot of the times people are in doubt because they're not sure of themselves. Again, you can't be both at the same time, right? You either sure or you're doubtful. So you got to understand where the doubt is coming from. So I know I gave a whole lot.
go. I'd pay too much for this mic to drop it, but damn, let's go. Let's go. All right, last one. When I need inspiration, I turn to blank.
um, the first, but I listen to him every day. So Dr. Myron Golden,
Goat.
the man is gold.
Yes.
Like he is anointed for the appointment.
Mm,
He's someone that I listen to every single day.
yeah.
The wisdom that he drops is just
Yeah. He makes you like he speaks to me and it's like he's drilling a hole in my chest. I'm like, "All right, I got you. Yes, you're talking to me. I hear you and I hear you loud and clear." So he will have you self-reflecting and understanding a lot of those patterns in your life that are holding you back from things that can take you to that next level, can really
absolutely.
propel you to prosperity, to profits. Let's go.
Yeah, and when you think about it, a lot of the things that he shares, you can tell he's naturally very vulnerable.
Mhm.
He says a lot of things that a lot of people who have achieved the level of success that he has acquired will not share.
Facts. Facts. Yes. He shares and like you say, speaking from a place of I don't experience this.
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
made that mistake. I know, but he has so much wisdom now with that, and it's so powerful.
Yes.
Yes. No, I love that. I love something that you said earlier too about plenty of things that you said earlier, but you
Right.
said that success is personal, right? Success is a relative term that is only can be defined by us. We can define what success looks like for our own lives. And so if you are chasing success and it's just this category of something and you don't know what that truly is, I challenge you to define what success is in your life. What does
Absolutely.
it look like holistically? What does it look like financially in my relationships, in my what fun I have, all the different parts of success that you can think about. Like it's not just go out and make a lot of money because you can go out and make a lot of money and be miserable. I've seen miserable millionaires and a couple brokenhearted billionaires, and I don't want that for anybody. And so,
Absolutely.
how are you defining success that encompasses your entire well-being? I love that. Dr. JaNee, do you have any closing thoughts, any final remarks that you want to leave the audience?
One of my favorites that I like to close with whenever I'm being interviewed on podcasts or even when I'm on YouTube going live. Reggie and I shared some amazing nuggets. The simple coach in me is saying, identify the one thing that you're going to choose to implement and do it. Don't be information station, right?
Mm,
Take the information, take one thing. I don't care if it was one of the five, I don't care what it is that we have said identify the one thing that you say, you know what, I'm going to take this and I'm going to take action on it. Whether
Mhm.
it's working on me, whether it's applying it to my business, whatever it is. You mentioned something about grief that was amazing and powerful. What can I take, that one thing, not the whole list, but that one thing that I can implement?
I love that. I love that. How can people contact you if they want to work with you? If they want to say thank you for this message, how can they reach you?
Oh gosh, it'll be in the show notes, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I am on YouTube as Dr. JaNee Mobley, as you see it there. I'm also on Instagram as Dr. JaNee Mobley. I don't even know if many people even go on Facebook anymore, but I am. I am on Facebook. Also, in the show notes, I'll drop the link for you all to make sure that you get my free gift to you, which are the mindsets that and the mistakes that women make to prevent them from profiting from their purpose. And I'll make sure I'll have my email address info at drjanee.com available for Reggie to put in the show notes.
Absolutely. And this is me. Like, I asked you how to pronounce your first name and then asked you how to pronounce your last name. And so I said Mobley and you just said Mobley. And so now I'm like, let me just go ahead and
Look, it's fine. Look, it is fine. No offense taken.
Dr. Janee, this has been absolutely amazing. And I thank you for all the work that you do and for the person that you are. With all the things that you could be doing and all the places you could be, I appreciate you being here with me, embracing vulnerability.
Thank you for having me. And thank y'all for listening.
Thank you for joining us in another episode of Vulnerability Muscle. If you've enjoyed these conversations around vulnerability, please consider leaving a review. Your feedback not only motivates us to continue to do the work that we do, but it allows other people to witness the power of vulnerability. Share your thoughts on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or wherever you're listening from. And don't forget to spread the word. You can follow us at Vulnerability Muscle on Instagram and me personally at Reggie D Ford across all platforms. Visit vulnerabilitymuscle.com for additional resources and support. And remember, embracing vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. It is the source of your greatest strength. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but most workouts are. So keep flexing that vulnerability muscle.